What's going on YouTube? Bladezilla here, and today we've got a real nice one, special one, from Shirogorov, as is customary. This is a pretty casual conversation regarding the knife. I'm not going into, excruciating detail on every little last detail, but I am showing you a real cool knife that will be available in the store, hopefully by the time this video comes up. But Got a handful of these in, and I think they are going to be very popular. So, here we go. This is the Shirogorov Hati. And essentially, what it is a F95 with a carbon or carbo tie or something. I can't remember what they refer to. It's got a name, but it's a very smooth carbon fiber front scale with some real nice milling in it, with some inlaid red that just looks super nice against the craftsmanship of the titanium on the backside. So, like I said, it is an F95 in spirit that's kind of, milled out as well, which is cool. And has all the detail work of a standard F95 without that titanium front scale. It's just carbon fiber. And in this particular one, obviously, it is that red color. So I want to say it was called Technocarbon, the Red Technocarbon. To me, when I first saw pictures of this online, I thought it had a real dark red kind of look to it. And to me, when I'm looking at it now, it's more standard black carbon with just kind of some notes of kind of like a blood red at certain angles. And what's so cool about the Technocarbon is that every single angle that you look at this knife, it looks different, which is cool. But that is besides the point. That's just a kind of a geek factor for me. Let's get into some of the details of this blade and kind of compare it with some other knives in the Shiro lineup and kind of take a look at some of its measurements. So let's do that now. So F95, as we know, needs 95mm blade. So as we can see, we are coming in at 4 inches and 8 3/4 or less on the overall lengths, kind of in between 8 5/8 and 8 3/4. So it's a full-size blade, but don't get me wrong or started. Everyone seems to think these guys are really big, and once you have them in your hand, you'll realize they're really not, because they're fairly thin, and the way the blade disappears into that handle, it's just it fits it very well. It doesn't give you any issues. So it's not a very big feeling knife. If we want to compare this with some production models, we can go into the new F95 NL. As you can kind of see, super cool knife. Love that. That is also available in the store. We can go into the standard F95T, which is, I'd say, its closest comparable in this category, just because of the M390 blade. And keep in mind, if we look at the actual curvature of the blade, they are different between these. So the T has this little top portion of the blade that's just a little different. So just keep that in mind. The little tip is a little different. Now, if we compare this in the Hattie kind of realm, we will go into a couple different blades, and then we'll come back to a couple Shiros as well. In the Hattie realm, we have the CCKS Hattie, which is an identical knife to this. I have not done a video on this, I don't think yet, and I will. Same knife, but an S90V variant on the blade, which is awesome. We have the Custom Division Hattie as well, also known as the Magnetic, which is a very different knife, I'd say, to these other two. It has the name. It is composite carbon, whatever you want to call it, on the top, but there's quite a bit more milling on the back side of this particular model than this one, and I don't want to bump any of them together. I'm trying to be careful here. But as you can see, quite a little bit more detail on the Custom Division model, and also much thinner. So hopefully you can kind of see that with the rolled in top. I have yet to do a video on this one, but I certainly will. Spoiler alert, this is one of my favorite knives in existence, but we won't talk about that right now because I only have so much time, even though I don't have any cap on time. So between the two, Production Hattie CCKS edition comes with a leather slip. S90V blade versus M390. Very, very cool. You know, this one they say is a kind of a gold color. You know, there's some gold in there, but it's certainly not as gold as, say, this is red. So hopefully that helps differentiate the two. But for all intents and purposes, the same knife, just different blade. So we get rid of that Hattie. And kind of go now a comparison in the Shirogorov lineup. So let's put this up top. We will start with the Granddaddy, the 111, which is a monster blade. And I'm going to try to line these up by pivot to kind of see the size of the handle and everything. So there's your 111, which is 111 mil in the blade length. And then from down in this, we used to go right to the neon. But now we are going to the stellar. And in this particular one, I had the stellar first production, and that one went out in a day, of all things. So this guy's a little bit smaller than the F95. And from there, we go into the neon. In this case, a Neon Zero Walter Randolph collab. So there's kind of your cover, I'd say, or your spread of the neon, the stellar, or Stellaris, same thing in size-wise, the F95, and the 111. Now we are also going to compare, because I actually have one in, and let's not bump any of these, the Quantum, because I think people need to know with the Quantum, they're similar enough, but very different in a number of ways. So this is the Quantum Gen 2, which is a beautiful knife. And then we'll compare it with a standard Quantum. This particular one is a EK Quantum. But you can kind of see a couple things here that are different. So blade shape, less swoopy or sweepy, more of a Persian style in the Quantum, as well as the flipper tab location. And this is one area that I really want to address because a lot of people don't really realize there's a difference here. But when we close this guy, what are we seeing? Where are those flipper tabs and which one's further back? These aren't engineered drawings, but I can tell just based on looking at them. The F95 style, or the Hattie style, this guy's a little further back. Whereas this, it's kind of run into the nose of the knife. On the top, nice smooth line. Whereas this guy, it's kind of pulled back. Now, from distance from the top of the pivot, I don't know which one's actually closer to the back of the handle. Probably pretty similar, but I do notice my preference is I like having this little spot here to find and flick it open versus kind of dropping into the top here. Just my opinion. Finally, I will compare this with one more knife that I just so happen to have kicking around as an F95 custom division, old school NL carbon inlay, but you kind of get the point of what they're trying to do here. So this is an inlaid carbon versus a full carbon, and this one might be thicker than even this. I would think it is. It feels thicker in hand. Okay, well that is enough of me nerding out and comparing knives and playing with sharp things. Good news, I don't think I cut myself. I've just put fingerprints on a brand new knife. So let's talk about this. What makes the Shirogorov Hati, if you're watching this video and you're interested in buying one of these, or owning one, what makes it so cool compared to, say, a Quantum or a F95T, T being turtle? Well, let's get into that. A couple things. One, I don't know if I need to say this, but Shirogorov's production line is some of the highest level of detail that you're going to see on a knife in a production version. And then when you go into customs and custom division knives, it just ratchets up even another level. But you look at the pocket clip, all this micro milling and shaping. You look down inside here. Now the camera might not even pick this up because it's so minute. But if you look at the bend in the lock bar here, this is all milled. You can see these lines. And I don't know, I'm looking at it on a 1-inch screen, so I don't know if it's going to even see this. It's filming in 4K, so hopefully it picks up some of that, but I'll move that around. There's just, the detail work is incredible. Okay? Number 2. You're going to get an M390 blade with this on the Hattie. And I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if I've seen a lower end finish than M390. They may have done, because they kind of did a Hattie and the Hattie R, and then now it's just Hattie. So, you know, M390 is their premium tier for their production line, which is a terrific steel. It used to be a huge upgrade, and now that's their standard. You know, in certain cases you get S90V, like on the CCKS Hattie, but in this case, M390 is totally usable, totally beautiful. Okay, the carbon scale. Now, if you're deciding between, say, that F95 that we had, and F95T, sorry, and the Hattie, you know, fit and fail in your hand are going to be very, very similar. If you like the turtle, you're going to love the Hattie. And conversely, if you like the Hattie, you're going to like the turtle. But this guy does it at a much lower weight. Not significant enough that you're going to be able to, you know, it's not half the weight or anything, but it is lighter and it is noticeable. If I were choosing between the two, well, this shouldn't be a surprise to you guys. I'm a plain Jane titanium slut. And, you know, in the Shirogorov lineup, I love the turtle. I love the turtle so much that this and, you know, some of the lower end production knives are the ones that I like to use the most when I'm not carrying my bug out. So it's just, it works for me because, you know, titanium hides a lot of the scratches and whatnot and just looks, I think, fresher for longer. You know, carbon, you know, it's smooth. It's not as timeless in my opinion. It's going to show wear as you slowly scratch the gloss off of this. But it looks so different than a titanium handle. And it looks timeless as well. Like it's just, it's more modern, I should say. With this particular one, you can see all the milling that they've done and shaping this to the same spec. Even up here, you're getting some lines that run along it. They've just done a terrific job. This is the kind of stuff on carbon that they don't typically do. So it's not a shot at the F95 because they've done that so well. But it's going to appeal to people who like the lighter carry factor. So maybe if you're running gym shorts or something, this will move around a lot less. That's just my opinion. You're still getting that amazing back spacer, which I love. And if we're comparing this with, you know, that F95 where you don't get a back spacer, it just looks like this. To me, is still one of my favorite value-wise carries. But I just think it looks so well finished with a nice thick back spacer on it, and they're doing it so well. On the non-show side, on the lock bar side, we get a matching machined. Keep this in mind, it's machined and formed scale on here, which is awesome because it's going to prevent wear to that titanium side, which just looks terrific. The pocket clip as well is leaning on, it's not putting its pressure on the lock bar, it's putting it onto the frame. So in your hand, I like having that inlay because when you're holding it and you're going to open this guy up, you know, Shirogorov, as I've said, they're sensitive to lock bar pressure, so if I'm pushing on this, it's not going to like that. So how do they get around that? Well, they offset the weight of this onto this side. So when you push on this, you can see it rests on the frame. And that's kind of hard to show with the camera because I'm at a real extreme angle. right here is why I say that this is a conversation, more so because I can't figure out a lot of these little things, but when you're pushing weight on the clip, it transfers that weight to the frame rather than the lock bar. That's the simple way of looking at it. So when you're finding it, first of all, your hands will find the inlay real nicely and easily, which prevents wear on the titanium, but we'll scratch that up, I'm sure. It'll probably wear in real nice over time. Oh, God, that sounds good. That is a smooth. You're witnessing the first few pulls on this one as well. It's a very nice detent. This is a very smooth one. Okay, back on track here. Focus ADHD here. Another thing here, and I don't know if I'm on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, or D, but something else that I really, really dig. It's on multi-row bearings, the Hattie. Now, multi-row bearings compared to single-row bearings, we've had this conversation, I hope, if you've watched other videos, but if not, that's cool too. Multi-row bearings, think of it as a standard bearing on a track, but instead of 1, it's in rows of 3 in a pinwheel orientation, kind of in a circle. So you get more surface area touching the blade, which in theory means less deflection, firmer engagement, smoother feel, and it should float. It won't fall down. So I've always said, when I like to park this guy up, park it up like this, as I move it down positionally, it won't fall, but it'll hold its spot, which I love. And we're not, like I'm telling you, it takes 0 effort to break this point, but all the weight, and it's not falling, but you just move it and it'll fall. So it's just a controlled float home feel that only Shirogorov that I've seen, and in very rare cases, some knives, believe it or not, on washers of all things, can do really well. It's difficult to do well. Right there, I had my hand on the lock bar. That's the difference. Ooh, this sound, I hope the camera mics pick this up. It's so snappy. Crack. And I think the sound of it sounds different because of the carbon scale. It sounds a little hollower versus the turtle. See how it's a higher pitch? Does that sound a little higher to you guys? Anyway, that's just me. It's more of a muted sound, but it sounds absolutely great. So anyway, back on topic here. So the M390 blade's terrific. I love where this guy actually sits for the flipper. I like that spot. And I don't know why that's so important to me, but it's just become something I really enjoy and feel that I miss if I don't have it. And it's the same actually on the Neon. If I want to show that, you can see how they have that same spot on the Neon. They don't do that on the Quantum. So it's nice having that little tab to pull on because your finger just finds it so easily and naturally. And I like that. So, yeah. You know, the Shiro logo is still on the blade here, as they've been doing for a while. You know, I will probably, I'm willing to bet you that's going to change over time as they start going to kind of an, I don't have a, actually, you know what, the magnetic does have it. See how they do this? Now on the magnetic, they kind of inlay it on the back here, which looks cool. Harder to do, more detail, more time consuming and costly, but it looks phenomenal when it's done. I kind of hope they do that at some point and get that off the cutting surface. But they've been doing it forever, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. It's not a big deal. It's just if you're going to use this, because most guys, you know, if you're a Shirogorov guy, they tend to use the production lines a little more than the custom divisions. It would just be nice to kind of have that not etched on the blade like that, but not a big deal. The back of the handle here, let's get, lock bar or lockup. I'll zoom in. Hopefully you can see a little better. Might need to move the knife away. So Lockup looks real good. You know, it's very light on these just based on how they kind of angle things, but we're at 15% or so, which is totally normal. Another thing here that I always mention, they do have a lock bar insert, a steel I believe in this case, but it is a metal lock bar insert, and that's not just to prevent wear to the lock bar, it's to fine tune the dissimilar metals. So M390 and titanium aren't going to necessarily mesh well together, so they put some steel, I don't know what that material is, and it's hard to find sometimes, but they put a different steel in there so that it's nice and smooth, so there's no stiction on the two dissimilar metals. Obviously, one of the things that I love about Shiro's is the ergonomics, and this knife is no different in that it fits absolutely beautiful in your hand. The jimping is absolutely on point, and if I recall, the jimping tends to match the backspacer pattern, which in this case it does, which looks awesome. So nice wide spacing, and you know, the reason they probably spaced this out, because it's not as usable, it's just providing grip, is probably if you're wearing gloves kind of thing. It's not sharp, it's not going to cut you or anything like that when you're using your hands, but it is very usable. Now I'm an extra large glove, and you can see I've got room to spare on the handle itself without issues. It fits beautifully. I love that jimping. I love the spacing and just how it matches the handle there. That's such a nice little detail on this blade. Like I said, the red is red without shouting at you. The multi-row bearing system is beautiful. And compared to single row bearings, you know, multi-row bearings are kind of their norm on their high-end productions, and I don't have a problem with them, but I definitely love the feel of single row bearings. Actually, if I'm loving the feel of anything, it's roller bearings by a landslide. But their single row bearings are done really well, and it's a shame that they only put them on their low-end or lower-end production knives, which is still a very high-end knife. But certainly love it. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about with the actual lock bar is how when you roll this over, because right now you're looking at it straight, start rolling that knife over, you can kind of start to see that this lock bar pocket starts to pop up. And that's on purpose. So when you're hitting that, it just makes this beautifully raised landing spot for your thumb to fall in. And it's nice and curved and micro milled to perfection. It looks so good. And it's so, like, it's just, there's zero hot spots on this knife in hand. And it just feels unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And it's just so natural. They've done such a good job. So the two spots I've noticed it obviously here for your thumb, as well as on the flipper tab. Yeah, they've done it here too. So see where the flipper tab is? They've kind of got a couple cutouts in the top here, there and there, so that when you flick it open, your finger finds this spot so nicely, and it's just effortless. So you shoot it out, bloop, and lo and behold, you're in a nice soft zone, nice landing zone, which feels phenomenal, nice and smooth. One thing that I haven't really gone into detail on is that all the milling around the knife, obviously on the carbon fiber, is just next level, and it's difficult to show because the camera does not like carbon fiber for some reason, and also shiny things, which is unfortunately what this knife is made of. But up close, it's all rounded and smooth. If you look at the handle here, it's beautifully done. All the hardware on this obviously is not screwed into the handle on either side. It's all two-sided, which makes it last forever. And if you do have a problem, you can certainly find hardware kits. I think they're $80 per knife, US, which is a lot cheaper than a new knife. But yeah, they've maintained as well. The inside, I'm going to grab the little light here to kind of show some milling that's done on the inside of this as well. Hopefully something will shine through and we can see. Let's not do that. So it should look like a snake. There you go, on the titanium side. I don't think they do a ton on the inside of their production carbon. It's rounded off, but certainly not to the same level as the custom division, which is pockets in pockets. Very rare. But you should be able to see inside there. Very well done. Absolute stunning detail that is not found in a whole lot of other knives. Just for comparison's sake, I know if you're a first-time viewer taking a look at a Hattie, you'll probably want to see a Para 2, which is a super common knife, and I'll also grab my trusty Sebenza large to give you an idea as well. Those are two pretty common ones. And actually, you know what? Because I was talking about my bug out, and it is right beside me. Don't judge my bug out, guys. It's a little dirty. I actually use that. So there's your bug out comparison. So much bigger than a bug out. And I'll actually show you when I move the location of each how that changes things on your perspective. It's very different, huh? It's funny how that works. But love the bug out. It's nothing special, but I do use it a lot. So that, I think, we may have covered it. The M390 blade, it's beautiful. We've covered the pocket clip milling. Oh, the lanyard hole. It has a lanyard landing spot here, so it's kind of hidden a little. But you can tuck a lanyard in here if you want, or if, a coin. I will show I have an F95 here with a lanyard attached. It's the same handle, same material, but you see how they just tuck it in on the corner there? I think that's a very nice design. And I've never been a big lanyard guy, but they're starting to grow on me a little bit. I don't mind it when it's done tastefully. And they make some pretty cool beads and whatnot to kind of join that in. I think that looks phenomenal, don't you guys? So, like from the side, you can't even tell that you can attach one. And then from the top, you're like, oh, wait a second. There is a spot here that you can do some cool things with. And it's integrated so well. Isn't that cool? And then I shouldn't have to tell you this. The centerings, bang, TF on. You don't have problems with Shirogorov. Honest to God. Just want to review here. So I've talked about the blade, talked about the flipper tab, the milling, the metal lock bar insert, the inlay on the back, the pocket clip, the hardware, which is unreal. Oh, I guess I should say this as well. You can get a tool if you're uncomfortable taking this apart to take the bits. You get like a Shirogorov tool, which would be something like this guy. This is a custom division tool. You take it apart, and it has all the bits inside to take them apart. But you can use, if you don't want to spend the money on it, and you don't, maybe it's your first Shiro, you can obviously use like a penny, something soft, because I believe it's a titanium hardware, so you can use like a penny, or you can use like a credit card folded on itself. They're not super, super tight, but I believe most of them are Loctited with light, kind of like a blue Loctite from the factory. It's not a big deal. You'll be able to crack it open. But if you are, a user that wants to constantly maintain it, then certainly get the tool. They're around $300 for their standard version. Otherwise, I think this is going to be a home run. I love the pattern, love the knife, love the design. It's my favorite of the production designs with that tab, the F95 style. And I think this is going to be a winner. The only thing missing from this is the weight. And I can tell you right now what it weighs. 3.8 ounces. So you're at that magic ounce to blade ratio. If you've never heard of that, you want whatever the length of the blade is in inches to be what the knife weighs. So with a 4-inch blade, we're coming in less at 3.8 ounces. It's a home run. Absolute home run. So I think you guys are going to like this. And I'm kind of starting to like this a lot. compared to the CCKS one. I think this looks better, personally. Just in the CCKS one has this kind of polished bronzy brass, whatever, I don't know what it is. It's kind of loud, you know, because they've done the gold thing, but they've got this, just kind of looks a little loud, whereas this is more subdued on the back spacer. I just think it looks better. Just a stunning knife. I have a few of these for sale. I'm going to put them in the store. I'm going to take some pictures actually right now and put that live tonight. So I'll probably have this video up a few days later based on my normal schedule Monday, Thursdays at 5 a.m. Mountain. 5 a.m. Mountain would be, 4 a.m. Pacific or 7 a.m. Eastern. And I'll probably take some pictures now and put this up tonight. And I've got a few of them. And they're not going anywhere. They're going to be hot, and beautiful knife, beautiful design. I love it. So it's so much lighter than you'd think, and so much easier to carry than you'd think. And the action is just Shiro times 10. Oh, well. Hopefully I won't take any more of your time. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below. I read every single one. If you have any questions, if I can't get you the answer, I'll find the answer. And check out the store, bladezilla.ca. We're new, and in Canada, prices include tax. And if you email me, maybe I'll give you a discount. So, if you're trying things for the first time. Okay, thanks guys. Thanks for checking this out. And we will catch you later. Peace.